I mean, I'm getting money passed to me from investors, and you can't even find money for a couple of houses in your garden. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I just rubbed it up the wrong way. If you can put that amount of effort in and live the rest of your life, carefree, then it's not that long, is it? Really, property. I think that gives me an advantage over maybe similar designers.
So, hello everyone. We have got the amazing Anthony Boyce with us. Anthony Boyce is the Director of Rocket Architectural Design and Development. He is the co-founder of The Property Thing. He is a property investor himself, and he is a curry lover. So, thanks for coming on with us, Ant.
Pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, bit of a weird,
no problem at all.
A weird thing.
Weird. Yeah,
First
yeah.
podcast.
That's it. Well, it's over Zoom. We're over, 250 miles away from each other.
Yeah, well, hopefully there's no lag, if you're in Australia or whatever.
No, we'll be all right. So you were just about to go into a story. I just asked if you had started as an architect out of school. You're just about to go into a story, so I thought we'd start
well,
there.
just to set my stall out, I'm not an architect. I'm an architectural technologist. So
What's the difference?
Oh God, I guess I'm about the nuts and bolts of how properties and buildings and things go together. So.
Right.
Yeah, I'm probably going to piss off a lot of architects by saying this, but architects, they draw the pretty pictures. I'm the one who has to detail it to stand up and that kind of thing, really.
Right, okay.
But I've worked with structural engineers, architects, planning consultants, and all sorts, really. So yeah, bit of a varied background.
Oh, right, okay. So you studied at the university with regards to you did architecture in.
It was architectural technology, yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, I sort of fell into it later in life. I mean, at school, I always liked technical drawing.
Yeah.
But I kind of went to college, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, basically. So
yeah.
I ended up, I dropped out of college, started delivering pizzas for Domino's.
Did you?
On a little Honda Cub 90 with the pizza box on the back. And then from there, sort of went into call centers, telesales, that kind of stuff, insurance and things. So nothing really juicy. I mean, I was all right at it, but you're never going to earn sort of decent money, are you, that way?
Sure.
And it was when my mum remarried to a structural engineer, and he kind of was like, oh, why don't you go on this CAD course? And sort of, I went on that and sort of fell back into it, and it's sort of gone from there, really. So I didn't do my degree until probably about 25.
Right.
I did it sort of part-time whilst working, 4 days a week as well.
Yeah.
Within a planning consultants and structural engineering place. So
cool.
Yeah, bit of the long way around, really.
What were you like in school, Boyce?
I was awesome, mate. It depends who you ask. If you ask the teachers, I didn't really apply myself as much as I should have. I was, reports were always like, yeah, he's a bright lad, but he just doesn't show it, or doesn't apply it in the lessons. But no, I generally got on with everyone. So yeah, pretty average, I'd imagine.
Cool. So you've been doing this since? Did I see 2007?
What, my job?
Yeah. Well, not your current job, but as an architectural technician.
So I started. It was probably around 2003, 2004.
Right.
So I joined. It was actually a solicitors who had a planning consultancy arm.
Right. Okay.
So I was kind of doing the pretty pictures and colouring in site plans. And obviously it was a very good time to join. There was sites being developed everywhere. House prices were going up and up and up. And then obviously the crash happened in 2007, 2008, and the arse fell out the market for them, and sort of got made redundant from there. So I went to work at a structural engineering firm for 9 years, then moved on to, if I can say the name, Savills, for a few years. Jumped out of there because they were closing the office, so I had to commute too far.
Right. Okay.
For 2 months to a architect's practice. He ended up being a bit of an arse, so we parted ways, and I set up on my own rocket up there in March this year, right at the beginning of the coronavirus. So
perfect time to set up a business.
Couldn't have timed it better.
Amazing. So you've been pretty consistent in terms of what you're doing and your profession, but you've also had a lot of success in other areas as well. That we'll get onto in a bit, the big one behind you on the other side. There we are. But what was it like going from, what was the firm you was in before Savills?
Well, that was my stepdad's. So it was a structural engineering practice. We were based up north, but he did a lot of projects around the London area, so down your neck of the woods, southwest London. So everything from basements to loft extensions, side extensions on that kind of standard Victorian Edwardian terrace kind of thing. I mean, I wasn't really, I hadn't really read up on property strategies and that kind of stuff back then. So when you'd get people saying, "Oh, we're gonna split this into a rent per room" kind of a thing, you kind of like, why would anyone want to live like that? So I've kind of been doing what I do now for ages and making other people money. So it's when that sort of penny drops that you start, what the hell am I doing?
So and what was it like going from that firm into Savills as more of a corporate entity?
I mean, it was more corporate, but we were very, as far removed from London as you can. I was working mostly in Northumberland, so it's large estates, barn conversions, historic old buildings and stuff like that. So that's the kind of stuff I like working on, older stuff rather than designing shiny new boxes, really. So no, it was great. I probably would have stayed there a bit longer if they hadn't have been closing the office and I was having to commute to York every day or 3 days a week or whatever I was working. So I enjoyed it. Met a lot of nice people there. Some very clever people. I don't know where I fit in, really.
Just stuck around for as long as you can.
Yeah, exactly. I just smile and wave, and I kept there for as long as I could.
So you set up Rocket, and what was the decision for that? Was it a tough one? Was it a tough one for you?
Well, no, I mean, I set it up. It's probably May last year, really. So it's been going sort of in the background, and it was more through the networking. There was people saying, "Oh, well, you do designs and this kind of stuff. It's just something that you can do." So I just thought I'd formalize it and try and get the wheels in motion in the background while I was still employed, because I'd reduced my working week down to 3 days. In theory, I was meant to concentrate more on Rocket and get it built up. So it's just to keep it legit with the tax man and stuff like that as well, really. So I kind of had a little bit of custom coming in when I did sort of finally move across to it. Just the timing wasn't quite right, but I mean, to be honest, it's I've had a lot more inquiries and I've got developments on myself and things like that now. So to be honest, I wish it's one of those things you don't know until you do it, and I wish I'd kind of taken the plunge sooner, really. It probably would have been flying by now, but never mind.
So when you went sort of full time with that, what was that? Maybe 2 months ago now?
What we in June, So literally 1st of March. 2nd of March, I think was the Monday.
Amazing. How did you feel going full time?
Well, a bit nervous, really, because I mean, I wasn't quite expecting to kind of leave my current job. I'd only been there 2 months. But you kind of I got a feeling something wasn't quite right between me and the architect. If I'm honest, I think he was a bit jealous of the stuff I had going on elsewhere, some of the developments, because I mean, he'd mentioned something about wanting to build a house or two in his back garden, and he couldn't get the finance and stuff like this. And I was like, well, what are you on about? You're an architect, I mean, I'm getting money passed to me from investors, and you can't even find money for a couple of houses in your garden. So I don't know if I just rubbed him up the wrong way with ambitious or something like that. So just
possibly.
Didn't work out.
That's the thing with a lot of people that go self-employed. It's almost as if, I don't know if it's the personality or the way that they are, that if you're going up against another person who's self-employed, who normally is, courageous and they're really pushing for something, if you're doing that as well in your own way, they could see that as a bit of a battle.
It's a bit of a threat. Yeah.
So that was like a natural progression, I guess, into going full time with Rocket. And despite what's been going on, how's that been going?
Well, it was a bit. I did sort of panic a bit when it first happened. As I say, I hadn't really planned for going self-employed when I did. But very quickly, the network around me, I found a couple of jobs, and I was like, oh, bloody hell, this is working. And then when Corona hit, obviously people rein in what their plans are. So all of a sudden, these thousands of pounds worth of work that I had sort of lined up was like, great. That's maybe 4 or 5 months worth of work lined up for me.
Yeah.
Started getting pulled. So yeah, it was a bit panicky, but it was offset by stuff I was doing with service accommodation. So it sort of swings and roundabouts, really. Yeah, I've managed to replace the income very, very easily just through placing guests in people's apartments at the moment, people's houses. So yeah.
And that's one of the big things that they talk about when you first sort of start in property, isn't it? It's one of the goals, or your first, I guess, initial goal is to try and replace your income with properties than what you're doing with your current job.
Yeah.
Did you have to have sort of like a mindset change to because obviously you're a bit of an all-rounder here. You know, you've got your business, you've got the networking group, which we'll get into, and you started investing in property. What was your first investment, and why did you get into it?
Well, why did we get into it? I mean, I'd read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I imagine a lot of people probably start that way, and that's when the penny dropped. So I was still at my stepdad's firm at that point. And again, I think as you start, I don't know, maybe
opening your eyes a little bit.
Yeah, so maybe again, I think we probably fell out a little just because at the time it was because as you start developing things or just doing refurbs, you're getting phone calls all the time from agents and this kind of thing. So I think we were kind of he was at his wit's end with me, shall we say, by the time we parted ways.
Yeah.
But no, we're fine now. So yeah, I mean, our first it was me and a college friend actually. As you do, you're in the pub getting pissed and let's get into property. Yeah, I've got a little bit of money. So decided to take the plunge, obviously do all the research you can. I didn't go on any training events or anything like that, but I'm one who likes to just sort of get stuck in and kind of learn from my mistakes. So yeah, all of that research. Our first property was just a vanilla buy-to-let. It was a 50 grand. I don't know if this makes sense to you down there, but you've been to Darla,
that's a deposit, isn't it? Yeah.
So it was we put down a 25% deposit. Obviously, bit of legals. It needed a lick of paint. We even painted it magnolia, which I'm dead against, so that'll never happen again. So we left probably $8 grand each in, but that house has been turning over. Its rent is £400 a month, and it's had a tenant. The tenant was actually from next door, saw us doing it up and moved in from next door.
Yeah,
and she's been in there since day one, so about 4.5, 5 years now.
Nice.
So, so we left money in. It probably ROI probably something like 20%, 25%. So nothing earth shattering. But it was getting started, wasn't it? So good to see if
that's wicked. And it's interesting that you said that you didn't do any training, because I feel like if you dip your toe into property, you see so many people doing so much training. It's as if you need to go to one of these courses to learn the skills. But a lot of people that I know who are perhaps at the top of their game in property development or doing really well, and they have done for years. I said, so I've always asked them, did you go on any training when you were younger or when you first started out? And they all said no. They all just said, not all of them, but a lot of them just said, I just got stuck in with my first one. I learned the hard way. I think things were maybe a little bit different back then. I've had some funny stories about how you could do a few botched jobs or whatever, but I think it's got a lot more strict now. But a lot of them say that they didn't do training.
Well, I guess I've got a property background, haven't I? I've been doing the architectural stuff for 18 years, maybe 19 years now. So I guess it was just a confidence thing. I had all this knowledge. I've done so many refurb projects, drawing them and designing them and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That it was just that confidence thing of taking that leap, which I think I've got now. So it's kind of a lot easier. So yeah, it was just a case of taking the plunge, really.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right. If you've been in it all that time, it's almost just doing exactly what you've been doing, but with your own money.
But so it becomes a little bit more stressful. You can't just ring the client and say, "Oh, we need another 10 grand, please."
So you spoke earlier about how you're are you sort of feeding Rocket through the property thing? Is that a bit of a driver for your business? I mean, it's probably not the main focus, but naturally, has that happened?
It has, yeah. Some of a lot of the businesses come through. I mean, because I invest in property, I think that gives me an advantage over maybe similar designers. Obviously, I invest in HMOs, I do refurbs and things like that. Conversions and things. So I guess I'm on both sides of the fence, being a client and a designer. I see what the end user wants, that kind of thing.
Mm.
So I think, I mean, I've one project we've done with a guy from the property thing was a 29-bed HMO conversion, which
Oh,
was
wow.
massive,
Yeah.
and that got planning, it got building regs and all that. So I guess there's kind of that background knowledge that I have as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really interesting how the two things feed into each other. So you started the property thing, what, a year and a couple of months ago?
Yeah, it was probably April or May last year.
How did
It was going
I'd love
well
to know
until
how?
COVID.
I was gonna say, well, that's part of it. It's it has done really well, and it's quite evident why when you go to one of the meetings.
Mm,
Some
yeah.
of a lot of the people in there, they're all really, really helpful, all willing to talk. Obviously, you have a few drinks, but the way that you do it as well, it's a lot more relaxed. But everybody's there is willing to help each other. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
almost, sometimes you go to networking events and everyone's sort of got a bit of a front and they're trying to be professional and whatever. There's
Absolutely. Yeah. Well,
that's
that's
out
it.
the
I mean,
window.
that's exactly what I always say to people. Because a lot of people are scared of networking. I mean, I was in that position. Maybe what 3 years back.
Yeah,
I didn't want to go along to networking events because I had what 2 properties or 3 properties or whatever, and you think, oh, I'm going to get eaten for breakfast by all these big boys,
yeah,
But once you get over that, it's a game changer.
yeah.
Everyone should do it if you want to push on.
Sure. So, have you got any networking tips for anybody that's new to it, thinking about it? Because I know there's a lot of people that do get nervous about it.
Yeah.
But as I've heard you and Paul say as well,
Hmm.
you gotta, you just gotta be confident with it because it's such a
Yeah.
great tool.
I think the one thing is that people get worried about is that you're going to run out of things to say. But I found that with property, everyone loves property. I love property. I work in property. I invest in property.
Yeah.
So you've always got that common ground, and there's 100% chance you won't know everything or something that guy's doing. So
Sure.
I find just by talking to people, your eyes are open to new strategies and possibilities. Just
Yeah.
one little spark from a conversation, and all of a sudden you've made maybe 100 quid extra a month on your house that you're just buying because
Mm.
you flipped it to SA or whatever, HMO or whatever. So no, it's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I always go. I know Paul Million says the same as well, but always ask. So what do you get up to, or what are you into, or something like that, rather than what do you do for a living, or how many
Sure.
houses have you got?
Yeah.
Because then that lets them dictate and lead the conversation from there. They
Yeah.
might tell you that they dress up as a woman on a weekend or something like that, but at least then you're chatting about that and you can lead on to
Sure.
property afterwards. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it gives them the opportunity to see where the conversation is going anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's part of networking, isn't it? Getting to know the person that you're actually working with, or the person that's opposite you, rather than just talking about the profession, because then that'll just keep you on a professional level. As soon as you start talking about your actual personal life, which you go to networking events, you might as well make it a bit fun and talk like your friends rather than
Hmm.
on the professional basis. Then you get to know the person a lot better, and I think that's
Yeah.
where the work opportunities come from.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly that. I mean, I never go with an agenda. I just go there to get to know people, and I mean, it's daft the stuff that's coming to me right now. So I mean, yeah, I mean, like you mentioned before, I mean, when you read books, it's always be there, be professional, don't get drunk and stuff like that. I mean, you've been to ours. I'm always a few sherbets down by the end of the
I
night,
think
and
everyone is, yeah.
at the curry there's a few more there. I mean, we've had people so pissed that they've had to stay over in hotels on the night and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
just being yourself, isn't it? If, there's no point putting a guard up and pretending to be someone you're not to.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not, because you'll get found out. So yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely something that I've learned. So, what was it that I guess was there a time that you and Paul sat together and said, "Let's do this networking event"? How did it all start?
Well, we used to go to the PIN and PPN events in sort of the Newcastle area,
Yeah.
and they closed down. So we were kind of left with a bit of a void. So I'd seen like these guys presenting these events, and I was like, that looks like a really good idea. Maybe we should do one in Darlow and see how it goes. So
Yeah.
yeah, I talked Paul into it. Came up with the name and just kind of ran with it. And it was a free event at first, but I think we got
Yeah.
something like 50 people to the first event, which was like, whoa, And, I mean, you've been to our event. I mean, we've only just this kind of last event or the event before actually got some like rigid structure to how people have got this much time to
Yeah.
introduce themselves, this much time for the speaker, or the speaker goes on at this point and stuff like that. So we've kind of just fumbled into it. And that first one, we were just like rabbits in a headlight, just like, oh my God, what are we going to be doing?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've gone from free and now we're charging 16, 20 quid a ticket, which is, and
Yeah.
we get the same amount of people. So yeah, awesome.
But yes, I mean, that's the thing, as it's gone on, there's so much value there. So 16, 20 quid is nothing compared to what you could be getting out of it. And I think that's the thing that, the people that are in that room, I'd say everybody there is looking to help somebody else, or otherwise they wouldn't sort of, like I said, they'd be found out. So when you initially set it up, did you have any sort of future plans, or was it just, do you know what, let's set up a networking event?
It was mainly just to build my network. Yeah, rather selfishly. I was missing the networks that were the PIN and PPN ones, which are the PIN ones back now anyway.
Yeah.
And it was obviously our network. We're in control of it. It's on our doorstep. So it's kind of laziness, I guess. Don't have to travel as far.
Yeah.
So yeah, the plans were just to build a network and see what's come from it, really. But yeah, when we were starting to see the benefits, which is brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about your investments, if you don't mind. So there's so many different ways to buy houses, right? And I think that's one thing that I found when I was sort of looking to get into it. Is there's so many ways that you can structure a deal, use your own money, use investors' money, so many different ways. How do you decide what you want to do for yourself?
Well, earlier on, we were, until you've got proof of concept, we were just using our own. So, we've had times when, we're really struggling. I mean, I remember our third property, my business partner was on holiday. He was driving around Europe in a camper van.
Yeah.
And literally the day before we were going to complete, the mortgage company found out that he hadn't signed his mortgage documents in his kitchen or in his house, that he signed them in Bulgaria or somewhere. So they pulled the mortgage. So
oh, really?
We had to scramble around and find like 70 odd grand to complete on this house the next day. Fortunately, we just had enough money, but we were into overdrafts and whatever else at that point. So we've kind of we've pushed ourselves to try and get that far, and it was only after what was it, maybe 5 deals that we kind of were able to bring sort of family members in who were had a bit of money sat in the bank and they were wanting to get a better return.
Sure.
I mean, one set of family members who were invested with us, they've been told by a financial advisor that the best way to keep their money safe was to leave them in premium bonds, and they were getting like 25 quid every couple of months or something. And
That's crazy.
Ridiculous, come with us, we'll give you a better return.
Yeah.
So from there it's grown. I mean, as you take on more properties, the cash flow kind of pays for the refurbs and stuff like that. So a couple of deals ago, I said to my business partner, look, I don't want to put any more money in. I'm doing the refurbs. I'm running around like headless chicken, finding the deals and all this kind of stuff. So that's me. I'm tapping out on the money front, and from then we've been able to pretty much fully fund everything from the portfolio cash flow and investors' cash, which is awesome.
Yeah. Now that's obviously taken a while to get there, and I feel like, do you need to build up trust? Well,
absolutely, yeah. It's that trust, as I say, the proof of concept to people understand that you know what you're doing, and as you say, the trust aspect. But it's not taken that long as well. I mean, when I set out, I wanted like 20 properties in 5 years, because it would have given me £2,000 a month, my business partner £2,000 a month, after tax and whatever, and actually kind of your basic living sorted, isn't it? Obviously 20 properties in 5 years whilst you're doing a full-time job isn't probably the easiest to do. So but that was just buy to lets. We've gone into HMOs, into SA. We're just looking at developments and stuff now. So the cash flow element, the money element's probably, we're going to meet that easy.
Amazing.
The 20 properties is going to take a little bit longer, I'd imagine.
Yeah. And do you have when you get to that goal, you're not going to stop and be like, do you know what, I'm done with property. That's gonna do me.
I mean, I love what I do. I mean, I might sack off the architectural stuff, because that's you've got to swap your time for the money in that one. I mean, I'll still do my own projects and things like that,
Sure.
but I think by maybe next year or the year after, I'm going to be pretty much set. So yeah, I guess I can take my foot off the gas. I'll still be
Yeah.
doing developments. I'll still be doing the networking. I love that. But yeah, I just don't have to rely on a job. I guess it's
Yeah.
just me being me at that point.
Yeah. And that seems to be the reason that people do get into properties, because it can give you the options to do what you want.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's everybody's, when everybody sits down, when they just start, they'll be like, well, where do I want to get to? Well, hopefully they'll do that. Where do I want to get to? What am I gonna try and achieve?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to anybody starting out? What's a good course of action?
Well, just get started is the main one. I mean, the amount of people I've spoken to, not networking events, at least they've taken action and started networking. They're pretty serious about getting going in
Yeah.
property. But the amount of people you speak to, whether it's when you take the kids to school or, friends in the pub, I've always wanted to do property. Yeah, I've just never had the time and stuff. And you just think, well,
Yeah.
Bloody hell, I've had a full-time job and been doing this on the side. It does take a lot of work, but I mean, what do I say? We've done it for 4.5 years now, and it's finally paying off. So yeah, it's 5 years of hard work, but if you can put that amount of effort in and live the rest of your life, carefree, then it's not that long, is it really?
Sounds like a good life.
Mm.
Cool. So what does the future hold for you, Boyce? What have you got in store that you can tell us about?
I've got a few developments on at the minute, which have kind of sort of been brought to me, which is awesome. So again, it's, I mean, obviously running that thing and the background in that thing is kind of helped. I mean, I'm doing a JV with Mr. Million. Obviously, you know him well. Again, that was a deal that's been brought to me and him. So it's great that we've started the property thing together, and these things are kind of happening to us both.
Sure.
So that's a bank we're looking to convert into apartments, and then we're going to use committed development to swap them from apartments to a HMO. So that'll be probably around 18 beds.
Yeah,
that'd be quite a nice bit of cash flow.
That does sound good.
Another one is over Barney Way, Barnard Castle, which is put on the map from Dominic Cummins at the moment. So that's an old church, I say a church, it's like a one of them sort of with a roof on Methodist. Is it Methodist or something Reformed?
I'm not sure.
Or other. But that's going to be 5 apartments and run that as SA units. I mean, another deal I've been brought over is at the seaside, and that's some potential retail with SA holiday let kind of flats above.
Cool.
There's another one up in an island off Northumberland, which is potential development for holiday let use again. So yeah, it's just gone mental. I mean, I was in an office with Mr. Ben Quaintrell yesterday, and he's introduced me to someone who wants to JV on a new build house. And I've just said, look, I'm not putting any money in. I've got it all tied up elsewhere, and I just I'll put the sweat equity in. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. So it's mental what's happening at the minute, and it's only just got out of lockdown. So crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah. Do you think it's because you've positioned yourself in a really good position, obviously setting up the property thing, and you're active on social media? Naturally, do you think that's brought people into you rather than you having to go out and get people?
I mean, maybe. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not as prolific on social media as others. I've kind of fudged this thing, and it's worked. I don't know. Maybe it's lucky. I don't know, mate.
Yeah.
It's just weird how everything's falling into place, really.
Yeah. And just one point on like JV partners, you said about sweat equity. Obviously, you want to try and work with a partner where you both have value to add into the deal, right? What ways are there to add value into a JV partnership?
Well, I guess you might have a pot of investors. So, I mean, the way, as I say, I don't really want to spend any money on deals now. I don't mind using my architectural background to obviously gain planning, the building regulations, construction drawings, and run the projects.
Yeah.
That's fine to me, because that's what I do on a daily basis anyway. It's what I'm used to. So I guess the other side could bring the deal. They could have a pot of investors or a pot of cash that they're willing to put in for an equity stake or a fixed return. I mean, that's generally what we're doing at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's probably
Cool.
other stuff you can do as well.
Yeah.
You
Well,
might
that's
have
the thing.
contacts, mightn't you? You might have contacts where
Yeah.
the end user, it could be a massive blue chip, and you've all of a sudden you've got a great client in a long lease on a property, and that bumps the value up of the commercial or something like that. Maybe that'd be another thing you'd probably look to.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. There's so many options and so many different avenues to get to what you want to achieve with property. I think that's the thing that's quite exciting about it. There's no real one set way to do it. You know, you just said you got like churches and islands and everything out there. That's great.
Not the whole island, not yet. Anyway, next year.
I was going to say things are looking good, boys.
It's definitely not Necker Island. It'll be bloody freezing up there.
yeah, no, that's true. Amazing. So do you want to give your do you want to give the property thing and Rocket a bit of a plug? Where can people get in touch, and what is it that you do?
Well, the property thing, obviously, with what's happening at the moment, we're not doing the actual meets. We were just about to start another one, or we're planning on starting another one. We're never allowed to get groups of people together, but we generally get 50, 60 people, all hungry to learn and meet new people to the event, and people have formed JV partnerships and they've found clients, if you're a deal sourcer and that kind of thing at the meet. So that's awesome. That makes me very proud to have helped in their development.
Yeah. And that's in Darlington.
Sorry?
That's in Darlington.
Yeah, this is Darlington, so not even a big city or anything like that.
There's so much going on in Darlington, though. Everybody always knows about it. Trying to keep everyone away.
We invented the railways, didn't we? That's what it is.
Yeah, true.
But no, myself and Paul Million, we've set up this. We have I guess the only thing we're doing at the moment is the Facebook group.
Yeah.
So if you search for the Property Thing group at facebook.com or whatever, however they work. Rocket, I've not even set up a website proper yet. So I guess that the only way to find me would be on Facebook. Again, I've got a little business page on there. Or just find me on LinkedIn or Facebook as well, and we can chat about stuff there.
Cool.
I'd say we're just doing a JV, me and Paul Million and two others, Nick and Debbie, who have come along to the events as well. So that'd be kind of a TPT kind of JV. We'll be probably do it well. Mr. Paul Million's involved in it, so we'll be doing lots of videos and walkarounds and
long Facebook posts,
long interviews. We'll look out for those. There'll be a lot of value hopefully in those with his knowledge and what I can bring as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can definitely say that the property thing is, for me, I haven't got property, haven't invested in property. If I was to start if I was to start somewhere, it would be to go to the property thing and speak to as many people as I would. So I think it's a huge testament to what you're doing. And I think I probably went to one of maybe your second or third one about a year ago. And
did you come up back then as well? Did you? Have you been twice?
Yeah.
Oh, right, cool.
Yeah.
I can't remember that far back. So.
And then I went to one recently, and to be honest with you, it's maintained its like culture, everyone within it. Obviously, it's a bit more structured than what it was before. It was just a load of people up at the front having a little chat, which I guess it still is. But no, really, really good. Boyce, thank you so much for coming on. It's been really good speaking to you, understanding your journey. If you want to get in touch with Boyce for the property thing or Rocket, I will leave some details below. But Boyce, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, mate.
No problem.
Yeah. Cheers, man.